cheers to California craft beer, and cheers to
Cheers to Brew Talk.
This episode of Brew Talk is brought to you by
California Craft Beer Association's Summit Beer Festival 2016, happening September 10th from 3 to 7 p.m. outside on Capitol Mall. Unlimited tastings of 400 plus beers brewed by 150 plus California craft breweries. Use Brew Talk TV10 code and get $10 off the beer festival.
In California. We can grow our own beer, right? So kind of cool, right? The land that we have, and we kind of touched upon it, it's pretty fertile. It's pretty awesome that we can actually provide everything, technically speaking, that we need to make amazing beer, right?
the birthplace of the modern day craft beer movement. The very first licensed brewery post-prohibition was in Sonoma, California. Fritz Maytag saved Anchor Brewing in the late 1960s.
Yeah, San Francisco.
Ken Grossman and his family opened Sierra Nevada in 1980.
Absolutely.
There was some brewing going on around the country.
Some history, right? Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit of history
That's
here
it,
in
right there.
California. And we have a pretty large population in the state. We're on the West Coast. We have the wine industry.
Yeah.
We have a big food movement going on now. But certainly, I think that just because of our population and just people's just different lifestyle, living on the West Coast, having access to fresh food, fresh wine, things like that, I think really helps drive this movement, help to get it off the ground at an earlier start.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't say it better than that. Sir?
That's it.
right
That's
there,
agreed,
right?
right there.
I mean, I think we all agree on that. The Printed Image. Local craft brew printing. For all your custom glassware and plasticware, visit theprintedimagechicco.com. Brew Talk Beer Moment. Your first beer. If there's a story behind it, please share what it was.
I grew up in the wine industry. There's a saying that takes a lot of, the original saying is it takes a lot of beer to make wine. We've changed it to it takes a lot of great beer to make great wine. but I grew up in a winery, so we drank a lot of beer even as a kid, making wine. And
you have one instance?
I don't know that it was anything specific. I think it's more the general idea of it that beer is a very important part of winemaking.
It is.
And we drank Miller. I specifically remember Henry Weinhard's. That's probably the one I remember.
Henry Weinhard's, really?
We drank Henry's, and there wasn't craft beer.
There wasn't craft beer back
Anchor
then,
obviously wasn't existent, but we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
My dad was a Miller Lite, L-I-T-E drinker.
Okay,
But
all right.
my first craft beer was when I met Vinnie, and I would say it was probably Pete's Wicked Ale and Sierra Nevada on that first date. And then shortly thereafter, it was Vinnie's homebrew.
Yeah.
So,
You're like, let me show you what I made. That's what you said too. I know. You're like, let me impress your palate real quick. This is what I do, and this is how we're gonna make a living.
She looked at me and he goes, "You want to open a brewery? You don't have enough to drink."
Looked at me like you were crazy,
That's
right?
what she said.
Did you ever think, with where you guys have gone and where you guys are going, that it was gonna be that? Like, honestly, did you
No.
think, I'm gonna brew this beer, and one day the followings you guys have, people love you guys. I mean,
You can't. We say it all the time. You can't plan this sort of cult following.
Yeah, exactly.
There are new breweries out there. Let's be honest, that are trying to. They're trying to create this cult following, but you can't. It's all consumer driven.
It just happens too, right? Like, I
think
can
about
only
the
imagine.
iPhone. The iPhone is another consumer-driven phenomenon.
That's not a bad.
Same with Samsung.
Right.
How many other companies tried to knock iPhone off before Samsung came along? Somehow Samsung had something as well, and now Samsung and Apple are both kind of in the phone world.
Yeah, they're kind of fighting it out, duking it out.
But in the beer world, we could have never guessed.
Never guessed.
That,
but it's
got to be consumer-driven.
It does.
No matter if it's beer, wine, soda, phones.
Exactly. And earlier I talked with David Walker, Professional Walker, and we talked about the artistic factor of craft beer. Talk to them about the artistic side of craft beer, please.
Well, when you say Firestone, the first thing I think of is what the project we just did with them. We were replacing our brew house, and we needed to have someone brew for us, and we were either going to call them or Sierra Nevada. And
that's awesome. That's not a bad Rolodex to have.
Yeah, and we went with Firestone just because I knew their process, their equipment, their batch size.
Yeah.
They use pellets. We use pellets. Sierra was whole cone, so that would have been tough. And so, their brewmaster, Matt Brenelson, who's a good friend, you know, just took ownership of our beer and just artfully and artistically
put it together.
We worked together, of course, but he treated it like it was his own child.
I love it.
And,
I love it.
And that's maybe doesn't answer your question directly, but at least it explains what our industry is like. And his staff, when he went and told his staff, like, hey, we're going to be brewing Pliny the Elder, they were like high-fiving each other.
That's awesome. API Brew Tours. So many beers, so little time. Book a custom brew tour or hop on one of the beer shuttles today. For all the information, go to apibrewtours.com.
The bottomless bottle. And if a genie popped out of a beer bottle and said, this is the last beer you can drink for the rest of your life, can't be your own, obviously.
That's fine. It wouldn't be my own.
What would you drink? What would you drink? What would you drink?
That's a hard one, because there's two of them that I laid out there.
I'll take the other.
But we know. I'll take Orval from Belgium.
There you go.
And the other one's going to be probably Firestone Pivo Phillips.
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, but I'm going to throw in Sierra Nevada Pale Ale.
Okay, I mean, that's a classic. Like, come on.
Yeah,
come on.
One
Much
is
love,
two.
Can I have one more?
One more, she's going to be one more.
I went Cantillon Goose.
Okay.
Changing the rules.
All right. We're going to give it to you.
Genie.
You're granted it. The genie said you get a couple more with it. It's forever's a long time.
And for people who are very used to choices, in craft beer, that would be really, really hard to live eternity.
Well, and it keeps changing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people keep making amazing beer, and you're like, whoa, that's good.
But I picked Orval because it's an ever-changing beer. It's finished with Brettanomyces. When you drink it, Natalie and I were lucky enough to once do a tasting with Jean-Marie Rock, the former brewer there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And he took us through, a month-old, 45-day, 60-day, 90-day, 120, 150, 180. It was
I'm jealous right now. You're killing me.
Bottles.
I know, right?
That is amazing.
Everyone was different. And Orval's great like that. It goes through these ebbs and flows.
I'm so jealous right now.
So, like, as a desert island beer, Orval is more than just one beer. Yeah.
Right in the brewer's mouth, guys. You said it.
Thanks for having us. Thanks.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
Stakes are high and the family's low. She's a long shot, the pain it goes. Take a chance, you may never know. You may strike out, you may strike.
On the next episode of Brew Talk, join me on this Brew Talk adventure, brewing curiosity, as we harvested whole cone hops in Shingle Springs, California with New Helvetia Brewing. Hops, and more hops. We joined founder Dave Gohl in his historic building, sharing some laughs and having some Brew Talk fun in this labor-intensive day. Brewing these fresh hops with Brewmaster Brian to wet hop their award-winning 916 Pale Ale. With a full wall of big beer awards, you take a sip and easily understand why. With their inspiration from Buffalo Beer Company, we became mad scientists for the day. Brewing a unique way, staying true to the ancient heritage of brewing, using New Helvetia's own individual flair. You do not want to miss this episode. So make sure to tune in with a pint for the next episode of Brew Talk. Until then, cheers.